Hi everyone. Today I'm presenting our topic that we realized with my group. Our subject is AIDS HIV in the sub-Saharan African country. We choose this topic because it was a very important topic that related to a serious problem and related to what we have seen in global governance classes. Let's start with a little recap of the current situation. The epidemic of AIDS started in 80s in sub-Saharan African country. Governments intended policy to reduce the harm, but it generally was a failure. As we can see on the map from 2017, the percentage of people contaminated is really high, especially in the south of the continent, with up to 25%. It was realized that 68% of seropositive persons in the world are living in sub-Saharan Africa. So for our topic, we have chosen two problematics. Why is this region still so much affected by the epidemic, and what are the impacts on local and international security? So let's start with a little introduction. The UNAIDS and the African Union renewed a partnership to reinforce the AIDS response in Africa. Every day, among the 4,000 HIV new infections in the world, the Sub-Saharan African represent 60%. It's huge. This policy brief that we have realized aims at understanding why SSA is more affected by HIV and underlying the impacts on the different aspects of security. There are main reasons explaining the spread of HIV in sub-Saharan African country. Let's start with socio-economic. We know that sub-Saharan African countries are very poor countries. It's a factor of social and political exclusion, and therefore the programs and incentives related to prevention of transmission of AIDS are inefficient and inadequate to their real lives. This situation is linked, and it's so difficult to access to healthcare for these people. Even if treatments are available, health infrastructures and resources are not developed equally in the territory. There is also, we can say, a social cultural problem. So the cultural background, some traditions involve blood, so it's really problematic to treat AIDS. Early marriage, it conducts to early sexual relations without sexual education on STI. And gender inequalities. It's lead to more infection on women because it prevents them from educating, decision making, and having sexual autonomy. And the third problem is political factors. There are a lot of political instability and conflict in this region. It creates favorable conditions for the virus to spread because political refugees and displaced persons are living in poor sanitary conditions and therefore more exposed to the virus. A poor involvement from the African leaders, political involvement to educate is a success, as Uganda has shown. Thanks to strong national mobilization, the percentage seropositive person reduced from half between 90 and 2000. And the last was the international programs don't target SSA. Despite many lectures, program and partnership, SSA is still the most effective regions. Indeed, international organizations aware about the urgency of the situation but don't provide efficient actions. So now we are talking about our second part, the main issues on security due to AIDS. So issues on security. There are economic security. As HIV affects young adults, it has a direct impact on the working population, which are the main actors of economic life. It's a hindrance to economic security and development. Moreover, treatments for seropositive people cost money to the government while they cannot work. Secondly, social and personal security. Even if women are more likely to contract the disease, HIV can generally conduct to discrimination and stigmatization in this region. Hence, people might be less likely really to be honest about the disease. And finally, international security. As long as we live in a globalist world, if an epidemic occurs somewhere in the planet, it has a chance to be spread worldwide. Therefore, states are tempted to not cooperate with sub-Saharan countries and exclude them, even more from international cooperation. And so let's go with the third and last part, the recommendations. First, our recommendation to the international community. So establish a section of the UNAIDS about SSA to have a strong and efficient action in the region. Share equipments, meds, and treatment from developed countries to incur infected people, and share the knowledge of international research to CSA institutes centers. Our recommendation now to sub-Saharan African government: allocated at least 55% of the state's GDP to health infrastructures and services. Distribute a quota of free condoms to young adults. Implement educating lessons and talk in schools about AIDS to make it less silent, and develop local research capacity about AIDS to not rely on other countries. So it's time to conclude. So you can see all the references that we have used to realize this policy brief and this video. We thank you for listening us, and we wish that you have learned things about this situation. Thank you.